My bots were perfect, until they weren't. It's a classic story. You build this incredible team of automated trading bots, right? Each one looks like a total genius in its field. You run all the numbers, you check the history, and they look like absolute world beaters. You think to yourself, I've done it. I've created a perfect system. Or so you think.
And that's where our story really kicks off. This quote just says it all, doesn't it? They were all making money in backtests. Then we looked at the live results. It's that gut punch moment where a flawless theory just completely crashes into messy, unpredictable reality. See, the backtests, the historical simulations, they were painting this beautiful picture of success. But the live accounts? Yeah, they were telling a very, very different story.
And just look at the sheer size of that gap. This really brings it home. Let's take the CS2 bot as our prime example. In the backtest, in the lab, it was an absolute superstar. We're talking a 78% win rate, cranking out almost 33 cents of profit on every single trade. But then you look at reality. In the wild, it was actively losing money. Its win rate dropped to less than a coin flip. I mean, this wasn't just some small miscalculation. This was a catastrophic failure. So yeah, we had to put on our detective hats. All right, first up, we're dissecting the CS2 bot. This was ground zero, the biggest mystery of them all. How on earth could something that looked so good on paper go so disastrously wrong? So the question is simple, right? Where did the money go? It just vanished. It was there in the simulation, but it disappeared the second it hit the real market. We literally had to perform an autopsy on the live trades to figure out where we were bleeding cash.
And after digging through all that data, we didn't just find one smoking gun. Oh no, we found five. 5 distinct culprits. These were our clues, the things the backtest was totally blind to. We're talking hidden costs, really flawed assumptions, and just plain bad data. So let's break down these 5 clues, one by one.
Okay, clue number 1, unmodeled slippage. So what is slippage? It's basically the difference between the price you expect to pay and the price you actually end up paying. Think of it like a tiny hidden transaction fee. The backtest lived in this perfect fantasy land where slippage didn't exist. But in reality, we were getting hit with an average cost of almost 5 cents on every single trade. When your profit margins are already thin, a hidden fee like that doesn't just hurt, it completely wipes you out.
And this led us to discover some of the bot's really bad habits. For one, it had this thing for betting on massive underdogs. The problem? They almost never won, like a 17% win rate. It was also chasing these tiny, low-edge trades that, frankly, were just noise. Any potential profit was immediately eaten alive by that slippage we just talked about. And the last bad habit? Making these super high-priced bets where you risk a ton of money for a tiny potential gain. It's a classic case of asymmetric risk, and it was a consistent money loser.
So what do? Well, we basically had to build a set of rules to protect the bot from its own worst instincts. We raised the minimum profit we'd accept on a trade, we completely blocked those super risky underdog and high entry bets, we put a hard cap on how much slippage we would tolerate, and, this is a big one, we rebuilt its entire brain with fresh, up-to-date data. Every single fix was designed to target one of those 5 clues we found. And did it work? Oh yeah, here's the proof in the pudding. We went back and applied these new rules to all those losing trades. And look at this, the results completely flipped. It went from losing 67 cents to making a 40-cent profit. The new system just blocked all 22 of those bad trades and let the good ones shine. So, case closed on the CS2 bot, right? Well, not quite. The story was just getting started.
Because as we started looking at our other bots, we realized we had a much bigger problem on our hands, a whole cascade of silent errors. And these weren't about flawed trading strategies. No, this was about the system itself failing in these quiet, totally unexpected ways.
Get this, the missing LO bug. Our NBA bot was supposed to use LO ratings to predict games. Simple enough? But a single, tiny, one-line coding error meant that it was running with, wait for it, 0 teams loaded. 0. It was trying to predict a Lakers game without even knowing the Lakers existed. The model was flying completely, utterly blind.
The fix itself was ridiculously simple. Just one line of code. But the impact? It was huge. The model's calibration, which is just a fancy way of saying how well its confidence matches reality, improved by 44%. It went from making what were basically wild guesses to making genuinely informed predictions, all because we gave it the data it was supposed to have all along.
Then there was the MLB bot. I think this one's even spookier. We called it the silent skip. The model was built, the data was all there. But because of a single stale file, the system just skipped it and never loaded the bot into the trading engine. And the craziest part? No error message, no warning, nothing. It was a true ghost in the machine, failing so quietly that we didn't even notice it was offline.
So once we finally found the ghost and fixed it, we fed it a week's worth of fresh data. And you can see right here how much things can change in just a week. The Yankees rating dropped, the Brewers went up. That fresh data is absolutely everything. And the result of the fix? The bot came back online and immediately went 5 for 5 on its very first day. Talk about a comeback.
But the rabbit hole just kept getting deeper. The more we looked, the more we found. These subtle bugs, these little configuration and calibration errors that were almost invisible, but they were having a massive impact on performance.
Take our League of Legends bot. This is a perfect example. We had poured all this effort into building a really sophisticated machine learning model for it, trained on tons of complex in-game data. But because of a simple configuration error, the bot was just ignoring the whole thing. It was running in a basic ELO-only mode, leaving all that powerful analysis sitting on the shelf, completely unused.
And this chart really shows you what a disaster that was. Look at this. The goal difference between teams is, by far, the single most predictive feature for winning a game. It's almost 40% of the model's brain. And our bot was completely blind to it. That's not just a small mistake. That's like an airline pilot trying to fly a plane without an altimeter. It's just, you're missing the most important piece of information.
Okay, and for our last case file, we have the tennis bot. And this one might be the most subtle, insidious flaw of them all. The bot's entire model was calibrated using data from the Men's Pro Tour, the ATP. But we were using it to place bets on women's matches, the WTA. Seems small, right? So why does that matter? Well, here's why. On a hard court, men win their service games about 64% of the time. For women, it's closer to 58%. Now, that 6% difference might not sound like a lot, but in a statistical model, it's a universe of difference. It completely changes the fundamental math of a match. It meant our model was constantly, systematically overconfident in the favorites in the women's game, and that led to a steady stream of bad bets.
Okay, so after all this detective work, dissecting 5 different bots with 5 wildly different problems, a bigger picture finally started to click into place. We realized we'd been chasing the wrong suspect this entire time.
So what was the real culprit here? I mean, the easy thing to do would be to just blame the models, right? To say, they just weren't accurate enough. But was that actually true? Was the core math wrong, or was something much bigger going on here?
And the answer is, it wasn't the models. The models, for the most part, were actually pretty good. The real culprit was the system. The fragile, buggy, complicated system that was supposed to connect those smart models to the real world. The problems weren't in the theory, they were in the execution. The data pipelines, the system configuration, the missing calibration checks, and the simple, dumb bugs in the code. The whole system was fragile, and it was cracking in all these invisible places.
And that really brings us to the final, most important lesson in all of this. It's summed up perfectly here. You can't ship a backtest. You just can't. You ship a system, and that system has to be robust enough to survive contact with reality. A perfect model in a spreadsheet is totally worthless if the system around it is broken. So the real question you have to ask yourself isn't, is my model smart? It's, can my system survive the real world?